Hey guys, Brad Danger here, and Mercedes just built the most powerful AMG in history, 1,153 horsepower. Let that sink in for a second. 2-second 0 to 60, and it is the worst thing that they have ever done. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we are talking about the 2027 Mercedes AMG GT 4-door EV. And look, I tried to be excited about this thing. I genuinely tried. I sat down with the spec sheet and I went, okay. Maybe this is fine. Maybe this is the future. Maybe I'm just getting old. And then I actually saw the car with my two eyes and I heard the fake V8 engine noise, and then something inside me just died. Okay, the specs first, because they're genuinely absurd. 1,153 horsepower, 1,475 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat, 106 kilowatt-hour battery, 600 kilowatt charging, meaning 10 to 80% in 11 minutes. Top speed around 186 miles per hour. 3 axial flux motors, an AMG exclusive EV platform called AMG EV. Battery cooling tech directly inspired by Formula One systems. On paper, this thing should destroy a Taycan Turbo GT. It should embarrass a Lucid Air Sapphire. It might actually walk a Model S Plaid in a real-world test. The engineering is legitimately impressive. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Numbers stopped mattering a long time ago. When every performance car does 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, 0 to 60 stops being a differentiator. It becomes a checkbox. What you're left with is feel, character, sound, the thing that makes you want to drive the car even when you have nowhere to go. And that is exactly what Mercedes amputated. The old AMG GT 4-door had a hand-built 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8. One man, one engine. A German guy bolted his nameplate to it. You bought that car and you were buying a piece of a Craftsman. That engine is gone. It is not coming back. In its place, motors, which are fast, which are technically superior in almost every measurable way, which also feel like appliances. Now here's where it gets really spicy. Mercedes knew they had a problem. They knew pulling the V8 was going to be controversial. So they tried to solve it with technology. They built fake V8 sounds, artificial shifts, seat vibration, synthetic drivetrain drama pumped through the speakers and into your spine. AMG's CEO said they rejected multiple sound designs because they didn't feel AMG enough. They used over 1,600 individual sound samples to reconstruct the feeling of an engine that no longer exists. I need a second with that. You built a machine so technically advanced that it could lap a racetrack on raw numbers alone, and then you had to spend years of engineering time making it pretend to be something it isn't, because you knew that without the theater, nobody would care. That is not confidence in your product. That is a confession. Okay, the design. I want to be fair here. I want to say beauty is subjective and design is polarizing and all the things you're supposed to say, but I also want to read you something that a Mercedes executive actually said about this car's design. And I want you to understand that this person works for Mercedes. This is their own guy.
If a car company creates a car with such an ugly design that it leaves people speechless, then whether it's an ICE or a BEV becomes a trivial matter compared to its catastrophic ugliness.
That's some first-class humor for a German. Respect, because he's right. The face of a catfish, all the character of an amorphous blob. It looks like someone described a Mercedes to an AI, and the AI had never seen a car before. And here's what kills me. When I close my eyes and think of Mercedes, like actually think of what Mercedes can be, I think of the CLK GTR, the 190e Evo 2, the W126 S-Class, the W211E63 AMG, the 300 SL, the R129 SL, the W140 S-Class. Cars that look like they were carved from intention, cars where the design meant something, cars that decades later still make your knees go weak in a parking lot. Not this. I will never ever think of this car when I think of Mercedes' greatness. Not once, not ever. And that's the actual tragedy here. Not that it's electric, not that there's no V8, it's that it's anonymous. A 2-second performance machine that you could mistake for a Hyundai Genesis in a dark parking lot. That's the crime. Chapter 4, The interior is a casino. Let's go inside because it doesn't get better in here. Screens everywhere, ambient lighting everywhere. It looks like what happens when you give a teenager unlimited RGB budget and tell them to design a living room. Mercedes interiors used to communicate something. The W14 S-Class had this weighted vault-like quality. Every switch felt like it cost money. Every material felt chosen. It was a room that said, we built this for royalty. The new GT four-door interior says, we built this for someone who really likes the Apple Store. There's a fake transmission tunnel. The tunnel is still there, but there's no transmission. It houses battery hardware and cooling equipment. It exists purely for aesthetics, purely so you still feel like you're in a performance car. More theater, more simulation. This is the design showcasing Mercedes' brilliant strategy, by the way, and I mean that sarcastically. The strategy is remove everything real, recreate everything fake, charge more money, and market it as progress. Here's what I keep coming back to. Can AMG still feel like AMG without a real engine? Mercedes says yes. They engineered the sound, they engineered the shifts, they engineered the vibration in your seat. They have answers for every objection, and maybe for someone who's never driven an old AMG, it works perfectly. Maybe someone buys this car in 2027 and it's the most exciting thing they've ever experienced. Maybe the 1,600 audio samples are good enough, but for anyone who has ever sat in a W211 E63 AMG and heard that naturally aspirated 6.3 liter bark at full throttle, you'll know the difference immediately. Not because the new car is slower, it isn't. Not because the new car is less capable, it isn't. Because authenticity isn't a spec. You can't engineer it from samples, you either have it or you don't. The old AMG GT four-door was a loud German muscle car sedan. Impractical, aggressive, slightly irrational, exactly what a car with AMG on the trunk should be. This is a very fast, very quiet, very expensive piece of consumer electronics. That's not an insult to electric cars. Some electric cars are magnificent, but those cars don't pretend to be something they're not. They commit to what they are. This car doesn't commit. It hedges. It wants to be electric and it wants to seem analog. It wants to be futuristic and it wants the fake V8 rumble in the cabin. It wants all of it. And by wanting all of it, it achieves none of it.
Mercedes has forgotten what it means to be Mercedes. Not an age thing, not a change is bad take. Porsche went electric with the Taycan and absolutely committed to what the Taycan is. No fake combustion sounds, no apologies. It's an electric Porsche. Here's what that means. Love it or leave it. Mercedes looked at that and said, nah, we'll just fake it. And the result is a car that will sell extremely well to people who want to say that they have an AMG. That will get enormous YouTube views when somebody on YouTube, well, they drag a plaid from a dig. That'll be technically impressive in every way that can be written on a spec sheet. That will mean absolutely nothing to anyone who remembers what this brand used to be. You see, the 2027 AMG GT four-door EV, 1,153 in all, has zero soul. I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal. Like, subscribe so we can hit 2 mil by the end of the year. Check out some of these Ideal vids and promise me one thing. Keep living the ideal lifestyle.